encourage you. This whole business of being intentional is very practical. It's not theoretical. It's having meal times, it's giving individual time to your kids, and those sorts of things. And part of the fun of raising a family is seeing the difference between your kids, and therefore, or what will I do with Tom, which I'm then going to do something different with Tim, or what will we do, it's just intentional means I'm taking it sort of seriously, and I want to therefore invest into that one particular child individually. I think also being able to do the whole boundaries thing, which I'm going to look at a bit later on, without losing your temper. I mean, Michael McIntyre is funny, we all laugh. I go straight to anger. Absolutely. Most children will train you to go to anger. Basically, you say clear out the toys, they ignore you. You say, if you don't clear out the toys, you're going to be in trouble, they ignore you. When you scream at them to clear out the toys, they think, oh, I've got to do something now because he's angry. And they learn it. They can control you very well. They know exactly. They don't have to do anything until you reach breaking point, because after that point they know that they could infringe your patience. But if you therefore train them to take action early on, I'm going to give you 2 minutes and then we're going to clear up. And then we're going to have a bath or we're going to have a meal. And you stuck to that over the period of 5 years, then when you say that to them, 2 minutes, meal, they'll be there in 2 minutes, because they're a bit like dogs, Pavlov's dogs. You can train them, and they can train you. You can train them to respond to certain things, warning signs in you. And so I just want to encourage you not to lose heart. This is not, the more you do it early on, the less hard work it is later. And so therefore, we've got a couple of, these are our trial guinea pigs here with very young babies, you see, so it's really helpful. Because we can now, Helen and I, we live here now, so I can observe them over the next 10 years and put them under a microscope and see how it's working out. We'll talk a little bit now about the shape of a family. And Helen was talking about learning to why we might want to shape a family. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what maybe constitutes the shape of a family theory. Now, you could read a million books on this, you could go on 1,000 websites, and you'd come up with a whole load of things, okay? Forgive me, we've come up with 4 areas we think are quite important, and these 4 stand out, and if you put them in a quadrant, then balancing them is really maybe very helpful. So we're on session 2 in your books, and the headlines are down there, and you can follow them through. What I want to try and do is have this balanced approach to family life. It can't all be one aspect, it's got to be a whole group of things. But let me just talk about support. We all define ourselves by some fixed points in the universe, okay? And so in terms of our children, who they are, they need some fixed points. And the primary fixed point is the family. Later on, they start identifying and navigating by other fixed points, the teenage years, or friendship groups, or school, or nursery. They become more fixed points, but the primary fixed point is the family, and all the way through their lives, you want it to remain one of the fixed points by which a child will define themselves. Other ones will come into play, but in real terms, a firm place of belonging and acceptance, and we're going to use those words a whole load today, belonging and acceptance. If they know that that's the place, even when they've messed things up, I've been called into school enough times with kids who are doing certain things wrong, that they know when they come home, they're still going to be accepted even if they've been naughty. Then that's a really helpful thing. And in that support thing, it's not just a reference point, it's how you handle failure as well. Most of us know that growing up is a process, a trial and error process. It's not, you can't define it for every person. So what they'll do is they'll try things and they'll fail at them. And they'll try things and succeed at them. And one of the dangers of parents is we think, oh, they must succeed, they must succeed. Actually, sometimes they need to fail, and they need to fail as we need to fail to learn from those things. So they need to be able to handle failure in the family environment so there's not recrimination and punishment for that. When children can't do, for whatever reason, things that they want to do, they need to know that as a supportive family, we can be with them. Listen, it's not the end of the world. You didn't score what you wanted in that test, or you weren't in the pick for that team. This is okay. It's fine. You're still a member of this family. And so, in that family where we give support, we also talk about our family values. Now, family values. You all have family values, okay? But the question will be, do you know what your family values are? Because whatever happens, we all impart our values to our children, but it's quite nice to be consciously knowing what they are, rather than just doing it subconsciously. When I was, how old was I when my children did that? I can't remember. Maybe 60, I think. My daughter decided to get a big one of these things on the internet, not in the high street type things, you know. Values, you know how they have all these text things, you know, and they actually had it all printed out. And one of them was we can afford to be generous. Then there's a whole load of other ones that she felt were our family values, which I maybe wouldn't have realised, you know. About, yeah, of course your mates can come for a meal. And it was really nice, actually. I've still got it hanging in the little family room we have at home. Because it's all that they picked up on stuff that I hadn't really thought were proactive ones, but they were really good ones. Life's too short is one of them. And not too short to worry about these things, that's the whole point. And those values will come across. And those family values will be there to underpin in the future. So I've got 2 sons and 4 daughters. Now, they're all wonderful, really, in many ways. But the sons I'm really impressed with in terms of their parenting. You watch couples sometimes. There's a little sort of disengagement by one partner and that sort of thing. And I'm just going to be careful, guys. But guys, sometimes you look around some couples and the guys are just a bit hands-off. And it's a little bit of a pity that they're so hands-off. But I've noticed both my sons are right hands-on with their kids. So one of them actually sets his alarm to wake up an hour before he needs to get up to go to work, so he can have an hour with his daughter before he goes. I'm gobsmacked by that, but it's intentionally he wanted to spend some time with that one child before he has to go off to work. She wakes up, she can wake up around that time so they can be there. And I think actually they're picking up the values because actually they pick it up from us. And I think those values will help them make decisions. And when it comes to the teenage years, that's really important. So your values need to serve them when they're making life decisions in the teenage years. Which brings us to the third area, which is that whole issue of the moral compass. Some of the first things we learn about good and bad, we learn in the family. You do it with heat. Don't burn yourself. You do it with safety. But then you also do it with what's appropriately good or bad. You need to share that toy. It's not just because it's yours. They're very simple things. But what you're doing there is you're actually building a set of moral compass into your child, and they've learned by that to make other decisions in the future. So if genuinely, as Helen said, we have a moral compass that looks to incorporating people into our family life, looking after those who are vulnerable. Say you are out in the streets and you regularly give some money to one of the big issue sellers, which they're accredited and it's a good thing to do if you can. They see that and they know that it's right to be concerned about people who are in struggling, vulnerable situations. They've already got their moral compass attuned. If, when it comes to Christmas,
you give gifts away to other things and they get involved in, I don't know what you do here, but we used to do the Operation Christmas Child, and we'd pack up a box and send it off, and then some little kid opens it over in wherever it is. Actually, they learn that that's a good thing to do, and you're modelling that as a morality thing and a right thing. Now, obviously, we're all selfish. I'm selfish. And you are, I guess. We all tend to be a bit selfish. We want the easy life sometimes. So you should have to, your curbing of your selfishness, they will see and learn to curb their selfishness as well. Because they're saying, that's what we do at home. We're like that as a family. They'll also learn in that moral compass about honesty and trust. Honesty and trust are important to good relationships, and so they will learn that in that moral compass area. And they'll learn about appropriate behaviour. You can't just behave as you want. Nobody can. None of us. You can't just behave as you want in your life. You can't just do what you want. And therefore they won't be able to. No one can do that in their life, because if you do that, you have havoc and chaos. So there has to be some, appropriate behaviour for other ways. And the way you handle that in your family situation will model to them. And then finally, this issue of how we relate to others. Children will learn how to relate as adults to other adults by watching you relate as adults. So your own relationship, if you're in that relationship that's respectful and supportive and loving, they will look for a relationship that is respectful and supportive and loving. If it's to do with how you handle your workmates, like when you come home, if you're moaning about your boss, or you're critical of your boss, or your difficult situations, they will learn that they think that's the way you should be in a work situation. So, unfortunately, guys, we are under scrutiny all the time if we're parents, and whatever you may want to be intentionally, they must really pick up who you are, not what you say all the time. So it's quite important for you to think, well, this is a great opportunity for me to manage my relationship, because the chances are the kids will end up in relationships like that. How you handle peer conformity. We're going to talk a lot about that later on. Peer pressure is a massive issue for adults, isn't it? But it's also for kids, obviously. How we handle peer pressure, our neighbours or the other people in our families, will model to them how to handle peer pressure. And if you're prepared to stand against that, conforming to patterns you don't think are very good, they'll learn that it's okay to stand against that as well. And also those we care for. We had my mum and dad came to live with me while I had 3 teenagers at home, which was really great. Because we had the house, what happened was we got rid of some kids, so we had a couple of spare rooms, which was really helpful. And they came and lived in those rooms. Now that was an 80-year-old and an 82-year-old, and a 15-year-old, 17-year-old, and a 19-year-old. And they're strange bedfellows, that group, because my father, when you get to that age, they tend to get a bit outspoken then, don't they? You notice that. And she wore very short skirts, the 15-year-old, and he said some very rude things to her when she saw her coming and going, or when her friends came. And I had to have a few words with him and that sort of thing. But at the same time, 2 or 3 years later, when he died, and my mum was left and needing care, and we wanted to go and visit one of my other children for the day, it was that 15, now 18-year-old, who came in for the whole day because she moved out, and she came in and she looked after my mum and gave her food and everything she needed. And I thought, well, she got it. Even though they had their little friction times, she got what it was like to care for someone who was older. And in fact, actually, they all did their turn at looking after my parents when we just needed a day off for those 3 or 4 years. We had to look at, I was my mum's primary carer. And if they look at us, one of the things they've seen is Helen going, Helen's worked in India for 10 years with abused women and children, and they have got on board with that because they're the kids who've seen that, and therefore they have then run for charities and marathons and all those sorts of things because they've picked up that sort of stuff. So you are showing your children. These things. Now, all of those things make up a family. It's a place of support where they can be themselves. It's a place of moral compass, so they get proficient in of right and wrong. They learn how to relate, and then, as Helen said, it's a place of fun. And it's an equal thing. This we really do need to build the fun into our family lives. Life's so busy now, I notice, and you might sort of think, well, I've got to do this, got to do that, I've got to get schoolwork done, do that, and you forget just to have fun as a family. And the things that kids remember is the fun they have at family. What our kids remember of our holidays, we didn't have much money when we were, not much money, we were so the only thing we could do was go to the New Forest with a caravan and just camp there for 3 weeks in the summer. That was our holiday. So they weren't really feral, because they would just live in the forest. They were like little forest kids, you know. But we used to have such fun on those holidays. The only way we could get them clean was to take them to the swimming pool and put them in the showers afterwards, scrub them up. And it was just like, they talk about that more than any other holidays. And that was on a period when we used to have a caravan Helen and I had 2 kids sleeping in the morning, and then 2 lots of 2 tents, one for the boys and one for the girls, outside. And we used to cook everything outside. And they think it was like swallows and Amazons for them. They thought that they would quote that as the best fun they'd ever had. And we used to enjoy our holidays. We learned to make it somewhere we can have fun. Learning to laugh together, just doing those fun things at meal times, making life enjoyable. On Sunday nights, because Sunday night I was a vicar, we knew that, and so I used to be out Sunday evenings at church. When I come home, Helen was normally had red eyes from having cried, and the children were feeling quite actually, oh gosh, what have we done to Mum and Dad's coming home? But one of the things we used to do, we used to save all the tokens from the car park, which used to get us Burger King burger meals. And so basically half price. So I'd come home and then we'd go out and get Burger Kings for everybody, if we could afford them. If we couldn't afford them, sometimes the older ones would make them. And so they'd cut up all the wood to make these little sort of things you put your chips in and things like that. They talk about that now as if that was the most fun in the world. Because they look back on these things and we laugh together over it all. Learning to laugh at themselves and not take it too seriously is really helpful. Where we have our home group meeting, there's a couple of twin boys around there, and they are quite mischievous boys, and they do sometimes get themselves in trouble with their parents. I can see that, and sometimes they look a bit embarrassed, but just learning to laugh together is a good thing, and to say it's okay to do that, but then also to laugh at the world around us. You know, if we debunk advertising and the media and the TV and that sort of thing, if we talk about it and laugh at it, then they learn to say, it's not the thing it should be, it's not serious, it doesn't think, I don't have to conform to it. So I think if you could build those 4 things in, I've put them down now, and we're going to go into coffee time. What time is it now? It's at 11 o'clock, we're going to have coffee for quarter of an hour. So you've got 8 minutes or whatever, you can stop if you want to have coffee. Where in those areas do you feel you're investing at the moment into this thing? Where are you feeling that you're a place of supporting your kids? Where do you think you're investing in the moral compass? What age children have you got? What decisions they need to make? Where are you modelling relationships, and what do you want to do in that area? And also, where's the fun times for you at the moment? Where's the enjoyable moments that they can see? Spend a little time on that, and then stop for coffee, and we'll be ready for that.